The shuttle docked with a soft hiss, and Myra stepped onto Convergence Prime for the first time. The orbital station was massive. It stretched out in every direction like a small moon made of metal and glass. Thousands of lights blinked in the distance. Ships moved like slow fish through the darkness of space outside the windows. Myra was 18 years old. She had brown skin, black hair tied back in a simple ponytail, and tired eyes. The journey from Earth had taken 3 weeks, and she had not slept well. Her body still ached from the pod. She was the first human to ever attend the Galactic Academy. Earth had only made contact with alien life 2 years ago, and the Galactic Union was curious about humans. They wanted to study one up close. Myra had volunteered. She had always wanted to see the stars. Now, standing in the arrival hall surrounded by aliens of every shape and size, she wondered if she had made a mistake. A creature with 4 arms and skin like blue leather walked past her. It was 3 meters tall. Behind it came a group of beings made entirely of floating light, their bodies shifting and changing color as they moved. To her left, something that looked like a giant insect clicked its mandibles and stared at her with 12 eyes. Myra swallowed hard and kept walking. The Academy's registration office was staffed by a small creature with gray skin and enormous black eyes. It looked at Myra's documents, then looked at her, then looked at the documents again. Human, it said. The word sounded strange in its mouth. From Sol 3, Earth. That's right, Myra said. The creature made a sound that might have been a laugh. We have read the reports on your planet, Class 12. Very impressive that anything survives there at all. Myra did not know what to say to that, so she said nothing. The creature handed her a small device. This is your student identification. Your room assignment is included. You will need to visit the medical bay for evaluation before classes begin tomorrow. The medical bay was cold and white, and full of machines Myra did not recognize. A tall alien with silver skin and no visible eyes ran scanners over her body for nearly an hour. It made concerned sounds the entire time. Your bones, it said finally. They are so fragile and hollow in places. One serious impact could shatter them. I know, Myra said. That's normal for humans. Normal? The alien sounded horrified. And your skin, it tears so easily. You have no natural armor at all. No scales, no plates, no exoskeleton. We have clothes, Myra offered. The alien ignored her. Your healing rate is extremely slow. A wound that would close in hours for most species would take you weeks to recover from. You require 8 hours of unconsciousness every day or your cognitive functions begin to fail. You cannot survive in vacuum for more than a few seconds. You cannot regulate your body chemistry to filter most toxins. Your senses are, it paused, searching for the right word, limited. Myra sat on the examination table and let the alien list all the ways her body was inadequate. The list was very long. I am assigning you a fragility rating of 2.3, the alien said at last. This is the lowest rating ever recorded at this academy. I will recommend that you be excused from all physical training courses. It would be too dangerous. I didn't come here to be excused from things, Myra said quietly. The alien's silver face showed no expression. That is not my concern. My concern is that you do not die. Myra's room was small but comfortable. It had 2 beds, 2 desks, and a window that looked out at the stars. Her roommate was already there when she arrived. Her body was made of living crystal, pale blue and translucent. Light moved inside her like slow lightning. She was beautiful in a strange, cold way. When she moved, she made soft, chiming sounds. She looked at Myra for a long moment after she entered. You are the human, said. Her voice sounded like wind through glass. I'm Myra. I have read about your species. I did not believe the reports. Moved closer, studying Myra with eyes that had no pupils. You are so soft, so small. I could break you with one hand. Please don't, Myra said. Made a sound that might have been a laugh. I will try to be careful around you. I do not wish to accidentally kill my roommate. That night, Myra lay in her bed and listened to the station hum around her. Did not sleep. Did not need to. She sat by the window and watched the stars, her crystal body glowing faintly in the darkness. May I ask you something? Said after a long silence. Sure. How has your species not gone extinct? You have no natural weapons, no armor, no special abilities. Your planet is classified as one of the most dangerous in the known galaxy. Everything there seems designed to kill you. The predators, the weather, the diseases, even your own sun damages your skin. Turn to look at her. By every logical measure, you should not exist. Myra thought about the question. She thought about human history, the ice ages, the plagues, the wars, the famines, all the times her species should have died and didn't. We're stubborn, she said finally. We don't know how to give up. Was silent for a moment. That is not a survival strategy. That is just refusing to accept reality. Myra smiled in the darkness. Yeah, that's pretty much what being human is about. The next morning, Myra walked into her first class. The room was filled with students from dozens of species. Some were huge, some were tiny, some floated, some had too many legs to count. All of them turned to look at her as she entered. She heard whispers, she saw the looks, pity, curiosity, amusement. The professor was a massive creature with green scales and arms thick as tree trunks. It looked at her identification, then looked at her. The human, it said, fragility rating 2.3. I was told you would be in my class. It did not sound happy about this. Try not to get killed. The paperwork would be annoying. Myra found a seat in the back of the room. She was the smallest person there, the weakest, the most fragile. But she was there. That was what mattered. She opened her notebook and began to write. 3 weeks passed at the academy. They were not easy weeks for Myra. She failed the gravity adaptation course on the second day. The test required students to function normally at 1.4 times standard gravity. Most species handled it without problem. The students, with their thick exoskeletons, barely noticed the change. They moved a little slower but kept working. Myra lasted 47 minutes before her legs gave out. Her heart was pounding too fast. Her vision was going dark at the edges. The medical team had to carry her out. Humans cannot handle elevated gravity for extended periods, the instructor noted in her file. Recommend exclusion from all high-gravity environments. In stamina trials, she finished last, dead last. The course required students to run for as long as they could at a steady pace. A student ran for 6 hours before stopping. A eel swam through the water section for 8 hours straight. Myra ran for 90 minutes before her muscles began to cramp, and her lungs burned too badly to continue. The other students watched her limp off the track. Some looked away, embarrassed for her. Others smiled in ways that were not kind. In combat training, she was paired with a named. It was supposed to be a simple sparring exercise. Light contact only. Was not even trying to hurt her. He swung his armored arm in a slow, careful arc. Myra blocked it wrong. She felt something snap in her wrist. The pain was immediate and terrible. She dropped to her knees, cradling her arm. The bone had cracked. Not broken completely, but cracked. It would take 6 weeks to heal. I barely touched her, said to the instructor. He sounded confused. I was being careful. The instructor looked at Myra with something like pity. Humans are very fragile. It is not your fault. After that, some students started making bets. How long would the human last? When would she give up and go home? The lowest bet was 2 more weeks. The highest was the end of the semester, but nobody really believed she would make it that long. Myra heard the whispers. She saw the looks. She kept going. Watched all of this with growing curiosity. She had expected the human to quit after the first week. She had expected tears, complaints, demands to go home. Instead, Myra simply woke up each morning, wrapped her injured wrist, and went to class. "Why do you continue?" asked one night. "You are clearly not suited for this place. No one would blame you for leaving." "I didn't come all this way to quit," Myra said. "That is not logical. You are suffering for no reason." Myra smiled. It was a tired smile, but real. Humans do that a lot. The first strange thing happened in environmental survival class. The course used simulation chambers to expose students to extreme conditions. That day, the lesson was heat survival. The chamber was supposed to reach 40 degrees Celsius and hold there for 1 hour. Something went wrong with the controls. The temperature spiked to 47 degrees and kept climbing. The safety systems failed to respond. Inside the chamber, students began to collapse. They were the first to fall. Their light-based bodies could not handle the heat. They flickered and went dim, unconscious. The students cracked. Their crystal forms could not regulate temperature at all. Even though they were struggling, their cold-blooded bodies overheating rapidly. Myra was sweating, her skin was red, her heart was beating fast, but she was still standing, still moving. She grabbed a fallen student and dragged him toward the emergency exit. Then she went back for another, then another. By the time the instructors got the chamber open, Myra had pulled 3 unconscious students to safety. She was exhausted, soaked in sweat, and her vision was blurry. But she was alive. The medical team checked her over and found nothing seriously wrong. Elevated heart rate, minor dehydration, nothing that water and rest would not fix. "How?" asked later. Her crystal body was still cracked in places from the heat. "How did you survive that? The temperature was lethal for most species." "Humans sweat," Myra said simply. "It cools us down. We can handle heat pretty well, actually, for a while anyway." Stared at her. "Your body leaks fluid to regulate temperature." "Yeah, it's kind of gross, but it works." The second strange thing happened in toxicology class. The professor was explaining dangerous substances that students might encounter on different planets. She listed various chemicals, plants, and animals that could kill with a single touch or bite. Myra raised her hand. "Excuse me, but you listed ethanol as a lethal poison. Humans drink that on purpose, for fun." The classroom went silent. "That is not possible," the professor said. "Ethanol destroys neural tissue. Even small amounts would cause severe damage. We call it alcohol, beer, wine, whiskey. Lots of humans drink it regularly." The professor looked at her notes, then back at Myra. "What about capsaicin? This is listed as a chemical weapon. It causes severe pain and tissue damage. We put that in our food. We call it spicy. Some people eat it every day." "Caffeine. This is a neurotoxin that causes heart failure in most species. We drink that every morning. It helps us wake up." The professor set down her notes. Her 4 eyes blinked rapidly. "Are you telling me that humans regularly consume lethal toxins for pleasure?" "Pretty much, yeah." That night, word spread through the academy. The human was weak, yes. Fragile, yes. But something was not right. Something about her did not make sense. The students whispered to each other in their clicking language. They flickered nervously when she passed. Even those who feared nothing began to look at her differently. Not with pity anymore. With something closer to unease. Sat in their room that night, watching Myra sleep. 8 hours of unconsciousness every single day. It should have made her vulnerable. It should have been a weakness. But was beginning to wonder if everything she thought she knew about weakness was wrong. "What are you?" she whispered to the sleeping human. Myra did not answer. She just kept breathing, slow and steady, her fragile body healing itself in the darkness. Outside the window, the stars turned slowly. Somewhere out there, a small blue planet orbited a yellow sun. A planet where everything was designed to kill. a planet that had produced something the galaxy had never seen before. Did not sleep that night, she just watched and wondered. The Hunt exam was the most important test at the academy. Every student talked about it. Every student feared it. The rules were simple. Teams of 5 students would be dropped on a wilderness moon covered in forests and mountains. They would have basic supplies and a map. Their goal was to reach the extraction point on the other side of the moon. The journey would take approximately 7 days on foot. The challenge was the Predator drones, automated machines that hunted the students day and night. If a drone caught you, you were eliminated from the exam. If your whole team was eliminated, you all failed. Only the students who reached extraction passed. Only the best of those received honors. Myra's team was assigned by computer. She did not get to choose. Was on her team. That was good. They were friends now, or something close to it. They had stopped treating Myra like she might break at any moment. The others were not so friendly. Was a big, strong, covered in green scales that could stop a blade. He was one of the best fighters in their year. He looked at Myra's name on the team list and made a sound of disgust. The human, we have to carry the human, he turned to the instructor. This is unfair, she will slow us down, we will fail because of her. The teams are final, the instructor said. Learn to work together. The last 2 members were eel twins named, and they were amphibious, with blue-green skin and large, dark eyes. They could breathe underwater and swim faster than most species could run. On land, they were slower, but still capable. They looked at Myra with polite concern. We will do our best to protect you, said. It was meant kindly, but it stung. The shuttle dropped them on at dawn. The forest stretched out in every direction, dark and dense and full of shadows. The air was cold and smelled like pine and wet earth. Took command immediately. We move fast, we rest little. The faster we go, the less chance the drones have to catch us. They moved fast. For the first 2 days, everything went according to plan. Myra struggled to keep up. Her legs burned. Her lungs ached. She was always at the back of the group, always the slowest, looked back at her with growing frustration. Can you not move any faster, human? I'm trying, Myra said between breaths. Try harder. On the 3rd day, things began to fall apart. The eel twins needed water. Not just to drink, but to submerge in. Their skin was drying out, cracking. Their gills were starting to close. Without water every 6 hours, they would begin to suffer organ failure. They had to stop at every stream, every pond. Each stop cost them time. Regeneration was another problem. His body could heal any wound in minutes. It was an incredible ability, but it required massive amounts of energy. Without food, his healing slowed, then stopped. His body began to eat itself. By the 4th day, their rations were running low, was weakening. The twins were weakening. Even was showing cracks in her crystal form from the cold nights. Myra kept walking. She was hungry, she was tired. Her feet were blistered and her muscles screamed with every step, but she kept walking. On the 5th day, their food ran out completely. Collapsed against a tree. His scales had lost their shine. His eyes were dull. I need to eat, he said. I cannot regenerate. I cannot fight. If the drones find us now, I am useless. The twins were worse. They had not found water in 8 hours, could barely stand, was carrying her. Cracks had spread. The cold was killing her slowly. She moved like every step was painful. Myra looked at her team. They were all dying, all of them except her. Hal whispered, staring at her. How are you still standing? You have not eaten in 2 days. You should be dead. Myra sat down next to him. She was tired, so tired, but her body was still working. Humans store fat, she said. Energy reserves. When we don't eat, our bodies burn the fat instead. It's not comfortable, but we can survive for weeks without food if we have to. Weeks, his voice cracked. My ancestors used to chase animals for days across open land. The animals were faster, but they couldn't last as long. Eventually, they would collapse from exhaustion. Then my ancestors would catch them. Myra smiled weakly. We're not fast, we're not strong, but we don't stop. We just keep going. That night, Myra did not sleep. The others needed rest desperately, so she kept watch alone. When dawn came, she woke them and they continued. Could not walk anymore. The cracks in her crystal body were too severe. Every step sent pain shooting through her. Myra picked her up and carried her. Was heavy, crystal was dense. Myra's back screamed in protest. Her knees shook, but she kept walking. Put me down, said. You cannot carry me. You will kill yourself. No, Myra said. Myra. I said no. She carried for 19 hours straight. She did not stop. She did not rest. When her legs threatened to give out, she found strength she did not know she had. When her vision went dark at the edges, she blinked it away and kept moving. The predator drones found them twice. Both times Myra spotted them first. Her eyes, those supposedly weak human eyes, caught movement in the shadows that the others missed. She led her team into hiding, staying perfectly still, barely breathing, until the drones passed. On the 7th day, they reached the extraction point. Collapsed the moment they crossed the line. The twins fell into the nearby stream and did not come out for an hour. Cracks were so severe that she needed immediate medical attention. Myra sat down on a rock and stared at the sky. She was exhausted. Every part of her body hurt. She was dehydrated, starving, and her muscles felt like they had been torn apart and put back together wrong. But she had made it. They had all made it. The instructor who met them at extraction looked at the team, then looked at Myra. You carried them for almost 20 hours, he said. It was not a question. Yes. While starving, while exhausted, while hunted. Yes. The instructor was silent for a long moment. Then he made a note on his tablet and walked away. Approached her later, when they were back on the shuttle heading home. I was wrong about you, he said. His voice was quiet. I thought you were weak. I thought you would slow us down. He paused. I would have died without you. We all would have. Myra did not know what to say, so she just nodded and closed her eyes. She slept for 14 hours straight after that. Her body had earned it. Word spread quickly through the academy after the hunt exam. The human had carried her for 19 hours. The human had gone without food for days and kept walking. The human had outlasted species that were stronger, faster, and better equipped for survival. The story changed as it spread, as stories do. By the end of the week, some students said she had carried 2 teammates. Others said she had fought off the drones with her bare hands. The truth was impressive enough, but truth rarely satisfies when rumors are more interesting. The Academy's professors began to pay attention. They pulled Myra's files. They read the reports about Earth that had been gathered during first contact. They studied the data on human biology, human history, human evolution. What they found disturbed them. Professor was she had studied over 300 species during her long career. She thought she understood how life worked, how evolution shaped creatures for survival. Then she read the files on Earth. This cannot be correct, she said to her colleague, Professor Morn. This planet has a corrosive atmosphere. The air itself contains oxygen at dangerous levels. The weather is catastrophic and unpredictable. Hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, droughts. The temperature swings between extremes that would kill most species. Keep reading, Professor Morn said. His voice was grim. The ecosystem is. I do not have words for this. Every creature on this planet is designed to kill or avoid being killed. Predators with venomous bites, prey with poisonous skin, parasites that hijack the bodies of their hosts, diseases that mutate faster than immune systems can adapt. Set down her tablet. How does anything survive there? That is the question, is it not? They called a meeting of the senior faculty. 12 professors gathered in a conference room to discuss the human problem. We classified Earth as a Class 12, Professor began. This was accurate. What we failed to understand was what this classification actually meant. We assumed that any species surviving on such a world would be physically powerful, armored, venomous, fast. She pulled up an image of Myra on the screen. Small, soft, fragile. Humans are none of these things. They have no natural weapons, no armor. Their healing is slow. Their senses are limited. By every standard measure, they should have gone extinct millions of years ago. Then how did they survive? Someone asked. They adapted, not physically, but mentally. They developed tools to compensate for their weaknesses. They covered themselves in the skins of animals they killed. They built shelters from materials they gathered. They created weapons that extended their reach and their strength. She changed the image. Now it showed human history, cave paintings, ancient hunts, long migrations across frozen lands. But the most remarkable adaptation was not technological. It was biological, and it was simple. She paused. Humans do not stop. The room was silent. Their bodies are designed for endurance, not speed, not strength. Endurance. They can regulate their temperature through sweating, allowing them to remain active in heat that would kill other species. They can store energy as fat and survive for weeks without food. They can walk for hours, days without rest. Their joints and muscles are built for repetitive motion over long periods. She pulled up another file. This one was marked historical, hunting methods. Early humans invented something called persistence hunting. They would choose prey, faster and stronger prey, and simply follow it. Not chase. Follow. The prey would run and the humans would walk after it. The prey would run again and the humans would keep walking, hour after hour, day after day, never stopping, never resting. The image showed a reconstruction. Ancient humans walking across a savanna under a burning sun. In the distance, an antelope stumbled, exhausted. Eventually, the prey's body would give out. It would collapse from exhaustion, from fear, from heat, and the human would still be coming, still walking, still following. Professor Morn spoke up. Their bodies heal stronger after damage. Did you know this? When a human breaks a bone and it heals, the bone becomes denser at the break point. When they tear muscle and it repairs, the muscle grows back stronger. They are designed to be damaged and come back harder. Their minds are the same, another professor added. They have a concept they call trauma response. When they experience terrible things, their brains change. They become more alert, more reactive, harder to surprise. They do not forget danger. They learn from it. The room fell silent again. On the screen, the ancient humans had reached their prey. They stood over it, patient, waiting for the end. We gave her a fragility rating of 2.3, Professor said quietly. The lowest ever recorded, but we were measuring the wrong things. We measured strength, speed, resistance. We did not measure persistence. We did not measure the refusal to die. The Academy board called Myra to a formal meeting 3 days later. She stood in a large chamber, surrounded by the most important officials at the Academy. They looked at her with expressions she could not read. Some seemed curious. Others seemed worried. A few looked almost afraid. The headmaster was an ancient named. His body was deep purple and filled with slow-moving light. He had run the Academy for 200 years. Myra of Earth, he said. His voice echoed in the chamber. We have reviewed your file. We have studied we have consulted with our finest scientists and historians. Myra waited. Her heart was beating fast, but she kept her face calm. Your fragility rating of 2.3 was calculated incorrectly. We measured the wrong parameters. We failed to understand what your species actually is. Paused. You are not fragile. You are something else entirely. What am I then? Myra asked. Looked at her for a long moment. You are a persistence predator from a death world. Your species does not win by being stronger than your enemies. You win by outlasting them. You win by refusing to stop when any rational creature would stop. You win by being too stubborn to die." He made a gesture, and a new file appeared on the screen beside him. "Your new rating has been calculated. However, we have decided not to disclose it, not to you, not to anyone." "Why?" "Because it would frighten people, and frightened people do foolish things." Myra stood there in the chamber, surrounded by the most powerful beings at the Academy, and she understood something she had never fully understood before. She was not the weakest student here. She never had been. She was something far more dangerous than strong. The meeting ended. Myra walked back to her room through corridors that suddenly felt different. Students moved out of her way without being asked. Conversation stopped when she passed. Word had spread. Everyone knew now. The human was not weak. The human was something the galaxy had never seen before. Was waiting in their room. Her cracks had healed, her crystal body whole again. She looked at Myra with eyes that held a new kind of respect. "They sealed your file," she said. "The whole Academy is talking about it." "I know. What did they tell you?" Myra sat down on her bed. She looked at her hands, small hands, soft hands, hands that had carried a friend for 19 hours through hostile territory. "They told me what I am," she said, "a monster wearing the skin of something fragile." Was quiet for a moment, then she sat down beside Myra. "I do not think you are a monster," she said. "I think you are something new, something the galaxy does not have a word for yet." Myra smiled. It was a tired smile, but real. "Maybe, or maybe humans have always been this way. Maybe the rest of the galaxy just never noticed." Outside the window, the stars turned slowly. Somewhere out there, Earth orbited its sun, a small blue dot filled with 7 billion persistence predators. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. The attack came without warning. It was the final semester. Myra had survived everything the Academy had thrown at her. She had passed every exam, endured every trial, proved herself in ways that no one had expected. Graduation was only weeks away. Then the pale tide came. They were a species that had evolved as apex predators on a world of eternal darkness. Their eyes could see in complete blackness. Their reflexes were faster than thought. Their bodies were covered in venomous barbs that could paralyze with a single scratch. They were among the most dangerous species in the known galaxy. And they were terrorists. 40 of them seized the Academy's central spire in the middle of the night. They moved like shadows, killing the guards before alarms could sound. By the time anyone understood what was happening, they had taken control. They had hostages, the Academy's leadership, professors, students, over 200 beings trapped in the spire with no way out. The pale tide made their demands: release of political prisoners, transfer of weapons, a ship to escape. If their demands were not met in 12 hours, they would begin executing hostages. The Academy's security forces surrounded the spire, but they could not enter. They had sealed the doors and set up defensive positions. Any assault would result in massive casualties. "We cannot fight them in there," the security chief said grimly. "They know the layout. They have the advantage. In the dark, they are nearly unstoppable." Myra stood in the command center, listening to the reports. Was beside her. So were and the Eel twins, her team from the Hunt exam. They had become friends over the past months. More than friends, family. "Is in there," someone said. "She was visiting Professor when the attack happened." Myra's blood went cold. Her friend. Her first friend at the Academy, trapped with killers. "I'm going in," she said. The security chief laughed. It was not a kind laugh. "You, the human, against 40, they would kill you in seconds." "Then I'll have to make sure they don't catch me." Myra looked around the room. She saw fear in the faces of the assembled students and officers. They were terrified of the dark, terrified of predators they could not fight. "Who will come with me?" she asked. 12 students stepped forward, was the first. "I owe you my life," he said simply. "I pay my debts." The eel twins joined next. Then others. A mix of species, all of them scared, all of them willing. Myra nodded. "Here's the plan, they rely on darkness. It's their advantage, but it can be ours too. We cut the power to the entire spire, make it completely black, then we go in." "That's insane," someone said. "We'll be blind, they won't." "I won't be blind," Myra said quietly. "Humans evolved as persistence predators. Our eyes are designed to track movement in low light. We're not as good as they, but we're better than most species think." She looked at her team. "They are faster than us, stronger than us. They have better senses, but they've never hunted something that hunts back. They've never faced something that doesn't stop coming." The plan was simple: cut the power, enter through the maintenance shafts, move through the spire in complete darkness, find the hostages, neutralize the... Simple, not easy. They cut the power at midnight. The spire went dark, completely, utterly dark. Emergency lights flickered once and died. They hissed in satisfaction. This was their element. This was where they were gods. Myra and her team entered through a ventilation shaft on the lower levels. They moved in single file, silent, feeling their way through the darkness. The first found them on the 3rd floor. It came out of nowhere, a shadow among shadows. Its barbed tail slashed toward Myra's throat. She was already moving. She couldn't see it clearly, but she could see movement. Her eyes caught the shift in the darkness, the displacement of air. She ducked, rolled, and came up behind it. Her team swarmed the before it could recover. It went down hard and did not get back up. "How did you see that?" whispered. "I didn't see it," Myra said. "I saw it move. There's a difference." They kept going. They began to realize something was wrong. Their scouts were disappearing. One by one, their numbers were shrinking. Something was hunting them in the dark. They were not used to being hunted. Myra took 3 venom barbs during the assault, one in her shoulder, one in her leg, one across her ribs. The poison burned like fire. It should have paralyzed her. It should have stopped her heart. Her body flooded with adrenaline. The pain became distant, unimportant. Her heart kept beating. Her legs kept moving. "You should be down," a hissed at her after she kept fighting with 2 barbs in her flesh. "The venom should have killed you." "I'm not done yet," Myra said. She was not done. Hour after hour they pushed deeper into the spire. They fell back, regrouped, fell back again. They had never faced anything like this. Their prey was supposed to flee or freeze. Their prey was not supposed to keep coming. But Myra kept coming. Wounded, bleeding, poisoned, she kept coming. The final confrontation happened in the main chamber where the hostages were held. The commander stood with a blade at Professor's throat. Was nearby, her crystal body cracked but alive. 20 remained. They surrounded Myra and what was left of her team. Only 7 of them were still standing. "This is over," the commander said. His voice was like silk over broken glass. "You fought well, human, but you are done. Your body is failing. I can smell the poison in your blood. I can hear your heart struggling. You have minutes to live, perhaps less." Myra stood in the center of the room. She was covered in blood, some of it hers, some of it not. Her legs were shaking. Her vision was blurring. Every breath was a battle. But she smiled. "You know what my ancestors used to do," she said. Her voice was steady despite everything. "They would hunt animals across open plains. The animals were faster, stronger, better in every way, but my ancestors just kept following. Day after day, mile after mile. The animals would run until their hearts gave out, and my ancestors would still be there, still coming, still walking." She took a step forward. The around her tensed. "You think you're the predator here. You think this is your hunt," she laughed, and the sound echoed in the dark chamber. You've never been hunted before, not really, not by something that doesn't stop. She opened her eyes fully, not the tired, careful eyes she usually showed the world, the real eyes, the eyes of something that had crawled out of a death world and refused to die. The commander saw something in those eyes, something ancient, something patient, something that had chased mammoths across frozen tundra, crossed oceans on wooden rafts, climbed mountains because they were there. He hesitated. Myra did not. She moved. Her team moved with her. In the chaos that followed, they learned what it meant to be prey. Myra did not remember much of the fight afterward. The poison and blood loss took their toll. She woke up in the medical bay 3 days later, wrapped in bandages, connected to machines that beeped softly. Was sitting beside her bed. "You are insane," said. "You nearly died. You should have died. The doctors said your body metabolized enough venom to kill 5. "But I didn't die," Myra said. Her voice was weak but steady. "No, you didn't," his crystal body glowed softly. "You saved us, all of us, the hostages, the academy." Myra closed her eyes. She was tired, so tired, but she was alive. "Myra." "Yeah. I asked you once how your species survived. You said you were stubborn." Paused. "I understand now what you meant." Myra smiled. "We don't know how to quit, never have, probably never will." She graduated with honors 2 months later. The Academy reclassified Earth to Crucible World, a planet that did not merely produce survivors but forged them in fire and blood and endless struggle. Her fragility rating remained sealed, but a new metric was added to human files across the entire Galactic Union. Under the category of psychological assessment, a single line appeared. Persistence index, unquantifiable. On the day she left the academy, came to say goodbye. "What will you do now?" they asked. Myra looked out at the stars. Countless worlds, countless challenges, countless things that would try to stop her. "Keep going," she said. "It's what we do." His crystal form shimmered. "Your species terrifies me, Myra." Myra laughed. "Yeah, we terrify ourselves sometimes too." She boarded her ship and flew toward the stars. Behind her, the academy grew small, then vanished. Ahead, the universe waited, vast and dark and full of things that thought they were the apex predators. They would learn. Humans were coming, and humans did not stop. Ever.